People are more inclined in thinking about the here and now than what's going to happen a week from now. They don't want to think about the future the same way as they don't want to think about the past. The past is full of trauma. The past is full of pain. The past is full of hurt that was done to them as children, as teenagers, and as adults. So why would you want to think of that? I've had many of my clients come to me and say, I don't want to talk about the past. That's why I drink. I want to forget about the past. Society says, if you're traumatized, you're weak. Well, a large part of it is that look at me, I've never needed help. Well, of course you never needed help. Did you ever question that where you're going to sleep tonight? Have you ever questioned whether you are going to live tomorrow? There's no question about why people are on the street. We've done it all. We know it all. It's how can we help people get off the street?
Well, there's a place that I decided in Ottawa where I found comfort, and it was sort of hid away from everybody. See, this is where the camp is down here. Yeah, this is my old sleeping bag and everything, okay? This is the camp, this is the plastic that was here. There's a little fire pit. I used all these trees, and it was, all this area in here was all the camp, eh?
I used to sleep right here. This one spot, set up my bag there. Have, maybe if I had a blanket or something, just lay it out. Just sleep. Wake up, look outside. Kind of got my own view of Ottawa.
This is Kulak. They used to use it. One day used to live in igloo. One day have too much flame. One person don't know how to let it up. We would wake up with a black nose.
I try to get involved with my culture. I'm proud to be Aboriginal on the outside. I try to smudge every day as much as I can. It helps me cleanse my inner being, I guess. It just makes me calmer. Now I feel calm. I feel much better now. I'm good.
My name is Russ Halpin. I'm a Métis man from Manitoba. I am a Housing First Base case manager here at Wabano, and I help people get off the street. I help our people get off the street.
My name is Chris Whalen. Today I'm a peer support worker, an outreach worker, where I can help people. I became homeless due to addiction and hurt inside, not knowing how to heal. You get locked up in a world, and you feel so numb. You feel so numb in that, and you wake up in the alcoholic state and that, and you don't know where you went or anything, and people just sort of brush you off down because nobody wants you around like that. I spent about a lifetime on the streets,
I'm Martel, I'm 18. Haven't really done anything with my life yet, so getting somewhere, trying to, anyways. I was originally born in Bemidji, Minnesota, USA, and I lived on a reserve all up until I was about maybe 6, and then moved to Kenora. Since then, just been kind of bouncing around from place to place. In all reality, I kind of don't look at it as like what race I am. I don't really follow any culture in general. I just kind of go along with anything at some point, so. I ended up in Ottawa because I ended up leaving from Quinte West area. It's by Toronto. And I ended up being out there in a group home because I had nowhere else to go. So since then I got bounced around to another group home, Mary Homes, that kicked me out a few weeks after I turned 18 and ended up being homeless then, so.
Hello, my name is Galveston Kwasa. I'm from Igloolik, Nunavut. 4.5 years ago, I moved here. It's kind of hard trying to live here first time. The most thing I miss is my children's and hunting. I lived in Igloolik most of my life. Went to Cape Breton, Nova Scotia for maritime drilling school, Morrisburg for heavy equipment. And I went to pre-trade math and science, Arctic College, toys. But I'm dropped out from high school. Yeah, I moved here to see a different life. Yeah. I wasn't good with my family. I decided to move on, and I didn't want to scare my family anymore. And yeah, that's why I moved to Ottawa.
My name is Pamela Taylor. I am 38 years old. I came from Hornpian, Ontario. My mom, she was the FSW up there. And then she was chief for 4 years. She tried to teach me about my culture back home, but we weren't really into it. I don't know, because my dad, he was a residential school survivor. Yeah, my dad was in there. So, yeah, my dad wasn't a very affectionate person. My parents passed away when I was 15. Everything just changed, like just switched. One day, man, you had everything, and the next day you got nothing. So it was really hard to take in all of everything and how to process my feelings, and I just lashed out on everybody. I was just angry. I just want to make everybody feel how I felt. You know, I was like robbed from my parents. You know, so it was really hard.
I believe very strongly in the philosophy of housing first is let's house them first, then let's see them grow. People grow. People grow very well, you know, in housing first. Like I said, I've seen some phenomenal success stories, but I've seen some heartbreaking stories. You know, I've seen some real heartbreaking stories. I've had 3 of my clients die last year. I expect at least 2 to 3 to die this year. I'm hoping just 2 to 3 die. You know, not 5 to 6. It's very hard for our population to be living on the street. It's physically, mentally, spiritually. The barriers with Housing First is the qualifications to become a Housing First client. The qualifications, the idea that you have to have spent 6 months in a shelter in order to receive the housing allowance. Well, that's a barrier right there, because I know that it's hard to house somebody when you only have $660 for a total budget, a housing and food, and I can only find rooms for $550, and so that means that they only have $110 to live on. I don't know anybody who can live on $110 a month. Well, if they haven't stayed in the shelter for 6 months, they don't qualify to apply for housing allowance. And without that housing allowance, they're forced to go back to the streets because they got to eat. For people who are living on the street, they don't all stay in shelters. A lot of people live outside, like Chris. He doesn't like shelters. And they can survive because they know where to eat, and they know how to stay alive on the street. Then there's the people who are couch surfing. They don't want to live in the shelter because, you know, it's dirty. There's people with addiction problems there, and if they have problems with their addictions, they're just going to be pulled right in. They're going to start drinking and doing drugs. We have people who can't stay in shelters because of their mental illness is so bad that they get kicked out of shelters. These people are the ones that we really need to help. They're the ones, you know, that are losing out, because if they don't have that 6 months, then they can't even qualify to apply for that housing assistance. And from what I understand, it's part of even qualifying for the SPDAT, is that you have to have spent some time in the shelter. Those are a lot of barriers. They're the forgotten people.